Hi, it's Yami from The Training Plan, and in this video we'll be looking at 3 simple things that you can do to recover from 21.1 and to be ready to either hit it again or get back to training. Okay, the first thing is very simple. Just go for a walk. 30 to 45 minutes, walk at a brisk pace. You're gonna get some arm swings, so some blood flow into the shoulders, you're gonna get some blood flow into the calves, through the hips, and the feet as well. So that's gonna be the easiest thing you can do. If you want to spice that up a little bit, add a little bit more benefit from that walk, you can do this simple thing where you prolong your heel contact as you're walking. So normally, as the heel comes up, you're gonna release the tension on the hip and on the calf. But if you just prolong that heel contact a little bit on each step as you're walking, it's going to allow you to get a little stretch on the calf, a little stretch on the front of the hip. And you can do that for every, do 20 steps like that, and then go back to normal walking. And just through your walk, get a bunch of repetitions of that. You can also play around with turning the feet in a little bit as you do that, or feet out a little bit as you do that to kind of hit the different muscle fibers. So a simple thing to add to that walk to make it more beneficial. So you went for that walk, 30, 45 minutes, and you're feeling a little bit warm from that. Now, what you can do next is to do some sensory work. So this is going to start to help promote, again, blood flow from the areas that you want to work on, but it's also going to kind of give nice sensory information to your nervous system about what's going on. It's going to help you feel more recovered. Simple thing, we're going to just use the knuckles starting from the feet. We're going to use our knuckles and just rub the soles of our feet, especially focusing if there's any tight areas, but making sure that you cover everything. You can go to fingertips as wanted, and then you can also work the top and the toes, specifically here on the top of the foot. You can come to the calves, working both sides. And you can do this with the straight knee or with the bent knee, and you can either pull the toes up or keep the foot relaxed. It's going to feel a little bit different. You can of course work all the way up to the hip, but focus on this area first. Then you can do the same thing on the shoulders. Again, working with this part of the hand or just with the knuckles directly. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit harder to get to some of the areas. So if you have any tools that allow you to reach into those areas at the back of the shoulder, that's going to be beneficial. Make sure you cover also kind of the lats and the serratus area, because they would have been working hard, as well as the pecs here in the front. Now, once you've done that, so that could be, a few minutes per area. Now, after that, if you have a tool like a hypervolt, you can also use that the same way as we just used our knuckles, working through the area. You can work obviously all the way through the calf, a little bit on the back of the knee. You have some lymph nodes, so this is going to help promote a little bit of that lymph drainage from that. You could work into the groin area, another area of lymph nodes that's going to be beneficial. And then once you work the foot, the calf, and then maybe coming up the hip, you can go on the shoulder, in here, the pecs. Make sure you get to the lats, and even that serratus here in the front, kind of coming underneath that pec. You can obviously go also the back of the shoulder. So this is going to be a really nice tool if you have one available. But if not, obviously you can just use the knuckles or even a towel for those hard to reach places. Now, if you have something like this, like a spiky mat at home, that's also a very useful tool where you can just hop on the bottom of the squat and spend some time in here. Or even if you're doing some other mobility work, you could have one of the feet on the mat and just get a little bit more rich sensory information through that sole of the foot especially. And of course you could roll your back and your shoulder on one of these as well. So it's a nice tool if you have one. If you don't have that, one of the other things you might have is a barbell, a dumbbell, or like an axle bar, for example. And you can roll obviously the sole of the foot on this. And for us, the intent here is not so much to release anything, but we just want to get information from those feet up into your brain. So you don't need to go very, very hard. A little bit of pressure is fine. And of course, after you worked both of the feet, if you need to, you can go and work the calves as well. But remember, we're not looking to release anything as such right now. So just a quick recap. You can work the knuckles, the hands, or even like a towel, working around the whole foot, the calves, especially the shoulders. If you have a tool like this, you can go sole of the feet, calves, back of the knee, the groin area to promote lymph flow, and then you can do the same around the shoulder area as well, not forgetting those lats and the serratus. If you have that spiky mat, you can use that or you can use something a little bit harder. And the intent for us is really to promote blood flow and to get rich sensory information for your nervous system to help it recover. Okay, you've gone for the walk, you've done the sensory work. Now let's do a little bit of movement to, again, promote some blood flow, restore the range of motion. We're going to start with some footwork, and we're going to be working first to mobilize the outside and the inside borders of the foot. You're simply standing one foot in front, you're going to place the weight on the front foot, and you're going to simply do these lateral ankle tilts, focusing on that outside of the foot as you do that. And you can work through these slowly, and you can work faster. Working at different speeds is going to stimulate different receptors. It's going to help to get different kind of feedback from that. And now you can also turn the foot more in or more out as you do this. Again, finding where the motion is difficult for you and then working in that range of motion and in that position. Make sure to do both sides. Then we're going to work the inside border of the foot. So you're going to partial lunge, and you're simply just lunging in, focusing on getting motion in the joint at the heel. Again, you can play around with different foot positions, feel where that's tight on the foot and work through that. Next, we're going to be working the joints in the front of the foot. We're going to start by having the foot straight behind us. And now, if you can hold on to something, it's going to make this a little bit easier. But in here, you're just going to do slight knee bends with the front foot. And then you're going to be feeling the sensation here at the top of the back foot. It's important that this should be a relaxed motion. You're not looking for a big stretch. You're looking for motion of the joint, so we're kind of pumping the joint open. You can turn the foot so that it's toes pointing in. You're hitting the outside of the ankle a little bit more. Same thing. And then finally, you can put the weight on the big toe on the side. You could have the foot on the ab mat if this is uncomfortable. And now we're targeting this inside of the foot. So we're just really trying to get good blood flow through the feet. That's going to help not just the feet recover, but it's also going to help the ankles recover. And then make sure that you do the same thing on the other side. So you could spend, anything from 20 seconds to a minute on each one of these drills. Now, once you've done those and your feet are starting to feel pretty good, we're going to do a little bit of work here on the down dog position. Just kind of pumping those calves back and forth. You can go toes in, toes out. You can also go here, start to shift to the shoulders. Just getting some nice motion through that shoulder girdle. And once you've done that for a while, you can go into the top of the plank. You can do a little bit of scapular push-ups. Again, to get good blood flow. If you have a hard time being able to do that there, you can just go on the knees. You can have more control. You can even start to do some circles in both directions. And again, 20 seconds, 60 seconds, even up to a few minutes as you're working on that down dog. And one of the things you can do there is you can also work that shrug and reach a little bit. So focusing a little bit more on the shoulder. From there, you can shift on the hips. You can get to your favorite position here, keeping the butt tight, hips tucked under slightly, and then just pulsing in and out, opening that front of the hip a little bit for those double unders. Once you've done your set, you can hold support from something or just without support. You can lift that front knee up and do a couple knee lifts. It's going to help to activate the glutes. It's going to engage that psoas a little bit, the front of the hip. You're going to feel strong in that position. Make sure you go the opposite side as well. Now, if your hips are feeling a little bit tight, this is obviously a good time to start to explore some of the motions in here, even work into the hamstrings in that position. So you can just kind of freestyle at that point and spend some time opening up the hip in here, in here. And start to get some blood flow into those hips as well. Now, for the shoulders, you've done some work in that down dog. The next thing, simple thing would be just in a kneeling position, is to work some shoulder circles both ways. As you go up, you're more externally rotating. As you come down, internal rotation, and then you reverse. You can be next to a wall to increase the difficulty of this, so you have something that's blocking you. And make sure you do both sides. Again, about a minute per side is a really good start. Then a simple stretch and breathing exercise would be just here flat on the floor, rotating, making sure that the shoulder stays in contact with the ground, so you get a nice stretch but the shoulder feels safe. You're opening up into the anterior deltoid and the pecs. When you're here, just take a deep breath to the chest. Breathe out and relax, and then you can go to the opposite side. And a good number of reps here would be 10 to 20 reps per side. Really take some time to open up that front of the chest, and then once you've done that, you can come here and just work on that shoulder extension with some lifts to that tabletop pulse position, working through 10 to 20 repetitions. So quite a few things to do there, starting with the feet, working on some motion, blood flow into the feet, going to that down dog, using that as a transition from feet and calves to the shoulders, then working on the hips a little bit, working on the shoulders. Mainly we're not looking to increase the range of motion. As such, we're not looking to stretch, we're looking to get some good motion through the joints, good blood flow through the joints, and good breathing while we're doing this. As a bonus tip, if your legs are feeling heavy or those calves and feet feel really tired, this is a really simple thing that you can do while watching TV or just relaxing in the evening. You need something to lift your feet up on, and then you either want to have something like a hypervolt, or you could just use a heat pack as well, a little bit different application. So we're going to just try to flush the legs by simply lying on the back, on our backs. Knees are slightly bent, knees slightly above the hip in here, and we're just sitting in this kind of relaxed knees out position, lying down. And you can either use the hypervolt, and if you use the hypervolt, the area that you actually want to use it on is going to be around this left collarbone. Okay, so you have the lymphatic fluid coming up the thoracic duct in here, so we're going to just kind of mobilize that lymph a little bit by using the hypervolt. So kind of where my pec minor would be, just around there. And I obviously can't talk while this is on. So I'm going to be in this position here, having the hypervolt on, and I'm just relaxing and I'm focusing on breathing into my stomach. So I put one hand on the stomach, breathe into it. Just feel how the breathing feels. If it feels restricted, you need some time in here to kind of relax everything. And then at the same time, you're using the vibration here to aid with the drainage from the legs. Now, if you don't have this, but you have a heat pack, for example, you can do a very similar thing. You place the heat pack on the groin on both sides where the lymph nodes are, and you're going to still do the same thing here, breathing into your stomach. And you try to lengthen that breath. My breath there was very short, so I definitely need some of this breathing work. You just want to be able to build to these nice long breaths as you do that. And while you're doing it, you're simultaneously helping the lymph to drain up from those legs back to the heart and back into the circulation. So that's a little bonus tip for you if you're feeling that the legs are heavy or the feet are really tight. That will definitely help you clear some of that out.